is January 12, 2021. And if you, like me, live in the United States, then you might be a little bit worried about all the craziness that's been happening. Last week we had a group of domestic terrorists come and attack the Capitol building. And I've been hearing reports that there are more attacks planned for all 50 state capitals, and another one on the Capitol, again, in Washington, D.C., in protest of President-elect's Joe Biden inauguration. I've also heard that there are some legitimate threats on his life, as well as the lives of Vice President Pence and Kamala Harris, Pelosi, and probably some other people that I either just haven't heard about or don't know about or whatever, or maybe forgetting. And so, add in a pandemic. It's just a lot of crazy right now. And so I was asked actually to make this video and talk about what can we do, especially people who are maybe just getting into prepping, just realizing, hey, I don't really feel safe, I don't really know what's going on. How can I keep myself, my elders, my family, my community? What can we do? I don't want to be powerless. I don't want to be helpless. Welcome aboard. I've been making videos about this very topic for a couple years now. And it's something that's a big part of my life. Mostly because I think it's a fun hobby, but also because I think that it's important. I'm a single woman, single mom. It's up to me to keep myself and my kids safe, right? No one else is going to do it. So, welcome aboard. You're a little late to the game. You don't have a whole lot of time. These attacks are planned for Saturday. It's Tuesday. So that leaves you about 4 days to get ready. And if you're like me, Christmas is just a couple weeks ago. And 2020 was a rough year. A lot of people are out of work or had very limited work. That whole stimulus package wasn't quite as stimulating as we would have liked. You might not have a whole lot of money, and you definitely don't have a whole lot of time. So you are limited in what you can do. That does not mean that you are helpless or hopeless. That doesn't mean that there's nothing you can do. Just limited, and you got to be a little bit more creative and prioritize a bit more. So, I'm Chris. This is Ready to Die Fighting. Welcome. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the world of prepping. I bought myself a ukulele for my birthday. Learned how to play it. Look how beautiful it is. So, where to start? With this limited amount of time, literally 4 days, I would say the most important thing that you could do is mentally prepare. You can learn so much just by mentally going through the motions. If you look at the elite athletes in the world, if you look at people who are going to give a speech, if you look at even yourself, if you've been to a job interview or on a date, if you're trying to work yourself up to ask someone out or anything like that, you run through it in your brain first, right? I'm thinking mostly of athletes. I've heard of them training this way, or race car drivers and stuff. You mentally Visualize what you're going to do. If you're a track runner, visualize running down that track, jumping over the hurdles. Where does the turn happen? The techniques. Mentally going through the motion does wonders to prepare your mind and body for when the event actually happens. You know, going through those turns in your head, going through the motions, whatever it is, practicing that speech, it calms you down. Panic is your enemy. You want to avoid panic at all costs. The more you can mentally run through these things, the less likely you are to panic when it actually does happen. So, for example, house fires. House fires are extremely common. To me, everyone, even if you're not a prepper or survivalist or anything, have a plan on what to do if your house catches on fire, or if there's more than likely coming from the kitchen. In my case, I let Nate cook all the time. He cooks. He wants to be a chef when he grows up. I let him cook as much as he wants to, and whenever I'm feeling lazy and don't feel like cooking, I tell him to. Nate, go make dinner. He happily goes and do it. However, what if he's cooking and one day there's a grease fire? Chances are he'll freak out, "Mommy, fire!" You know, and get scared or whatever and panic. But if we talk about what to do with grease fires, if we kind of act it out, this is what you do, this is how it works. Here's the fire extinguisher, here's the smoke detectors, blah, 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 blah. We all have a plan. We all know what to expect. We all know how it's going to work. We can practice it. We can drill it over and over and over. When it actually happens, you don't need to panic. You've been through this. You know what to expect. You know what to do. You know where things are. And you can just do it without freaking out. That's how you win. That's how you win this fight. The fight for survival. So do that. I mean, a house fire, a kitchen fire, is much easier to visualize than what do I do when my state capital is overrun with domestic terrorists. But still, think it through. We've seen riots and protests for all of 2020, basically, and we've started the year out with even more. So we've seen what can happen. Think about what if this happens in my own backyard? Or maybe it has already happened where you live. What do? Think about it. Something else that I can't remember if I actually made a video on this or not. I definitely meant to. I have to look back and see if I did. But situational awareness. You want to build this awareness of what's going on in your surroundings. If you drive a car, you already do it. But you might not be doing it when you're in a store. You might not do it when you're just like out on the street or whatever. You want to pay attention to the people that are around you, the things that are around you, using all of your senses and trusting your gut, basically. Let stereotypes be your friend. If you are in Target or the mall or whatever, and you see a group of guys, say in their early 20s, and maybe they're all dressed similarly, and they've got tattoos on their face, and they're looking kind of angry, and kind of like they don't even really belong there, like they're up to no good. They probably are up to no good. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. We're talking about your safety. We're not talking about trying to hire them for a job or allowing them into a school or anything like that. We're talking about your personal safety. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Get away from them. Keep your eye on them. Assume that they're up to no good. They're probably not up to any good. I mean, trust your instincts. You have instincts for a reason. Your body knows, your mind knows, even when you don't. Trust it. You see a woman with 4 little kids all screaming their heads off, and she looks exhausted and like she's out of her mind. She's probably exhausted and out of her mind. She's probably not a threat to you. She probably doesn't even realize that you exist. You probably don't have to worry about her. So pay attention to those sorts of things. There's a lot of different things you can look for. There's something called, I think it's like the 500-yard stare. It's like a lot of times if somebody is planning like a suicide bomber type of attack, they will kind of just stare off. Like it's almost like they're like just kind of this blank, dead stare way off into the distance, and they're in their own head, probably like mentally trying to amp themselves up to do this thing, whatever it is, this attack or whatever. If you see that, someone in a big coat, especially if the weather doesn't warrant it, and they're just kind of in their own little zone and just something seems off about them, and you might want to get out of there. You might want to get out of there. Something's probably about to go down. So just pay attention. Just pay attention. Know where exits are. Know where, every time you go someplace, know where the exit is. Know where the places where there's likely to be a lot of congestion. Think like a thief. Think like a murderer. It's like, if I was gonna rob this place, what would I do? If I was gonna kill a bunch of people in here, what would I do? Good chance that that's what the other person would do too. Keep an eye out for that sort of thing. However you would do it, somebody else would probably do it the same way. Plan accordingly. It's kind of a weird exercise, but you might be surprised how much it helps you. And honestly, it's kind of fun. Pretending to be a bad guy. I personally believe that whenever I go out, and actually in the house, I do carry a firearm with me. If for some reason I can't carry the firearm, a legal knife and some legal pepper spray is really good to have as well. Or all three even. That's so you can defend yourself. However, the caveat is all those things are fairly useless if you don't know how to use them. So pepper spray is probably your safest bet. If you don't have a gun, or you don't feel comfortable with one, or you don't have a license, whatever the case may be, pepper spray, OC spray, whatever you want to call it, get the strongest, meanest spray you can find. It's not too expensive, maybe $20. You don't need to spend more than that. And that's a pretty good defense mechanism. It's easy to carry, easy to hide, easy to use. I'm getting some kind of message here, but couldn't read what it said. And carry that with you. At the same time, I would say even more important, carry some first aid stuff with you. Especially if we're talking about a large scale attack. You're more likely to need some sort of first aid, or your person with you is going to need some first aid, than you are going to be one-on-one fighting the terrorist. At least you shouldn't be one-on-one fighting the terrorist. You're supposed to avoid that. Avoidance is key here. We don't want to be fighting people. We want to get away from people. We want to be safe. Let the police or whoever fight them. Let the guy with the hero complex fight them. You don't need to be fighting anybody. Keep yourself safe. Keep your friends safe. Keep your family safe. Carry some first aid kit with you. A tourniquet is ideal. Tourniquets literally save lives. Tourniquets are the easiest way to prevent unnecessary death from like a traumatic injury like that. But quality tourniquets, you're not going to be able to get one in time, unfortunately. Homemade ones don't work. So, as an alternative, carry some bandages, carry some gauze, carry some band-aids. Whatever you have, stick some in your purse, stick some in your bag, whatever. But have some with you, on your person. On your person, if you're going to be going out. And learn how to use it. Because not all that stuff is intuitive. In the absence of a tourniquet, or even with a tourniquet kit, a lot of times pressure, direct pressure, like you're hurting the person, press down put like all of your weight on that wound to stop the bleeding. If it's I mean, the person who's shot or injured or whatever, they're gonna hate you. It's gonna hurt, but you know what? A tourniquet's gonna hurt too. None of this stuff is fun, but it'll keep you alive. If there's a cut here, if there's an opening here, take your fingers and push down. Put all your weight on that. Put your knuckle on it. Ram some gauze in there and push down and don't let up. It's gonna hurt. They're gonna be screaming. Tell them, shut up. Stop being a little bitch. I'm saving your life. And I mean, you can be nicer than that, but realistically, that's what it is. Otherwise, they're going to bleed out. You got to put that pressure on it. Press harder than you think you need to. It's not just gonna put some, it's not just this, just hold it on there. It's pressure, push, and hold it as long as you can until someone can come to help who is medically trained. Let's see, what else? I'm kind of all over the place with this one because I'm trying to give you as much information as I can in one video. Like if you're gonna watch one video on what should I be doing, then this is it. Want to get it all to you, just kind of in summary. What do you need? So if you're gonna go out, carry something to defend yourself. More importantly, carry something to heal yourself and those around you. Carry it on your person. Carry if. My son's got a man bag, man purse. He's got a purse. But in that, he's got his important stuff. Put some first aid stuff in there. Carry a man bag. If you're a man, just carry a bag if you're a woman. And put this stuff in there. It's fine if you got your little, I don't know, toys or whatever in there. I don't know what normal people carry in their purses. And bags. Mine's filled with survival gear. I don't know what other people put in theirs, but whatever you normally carry, that's fine. Take some of it out maybe if you need to. Put in some first aid gear. Put in some pepper spray. You may want to include those little Mylar blankets if you can get one. A lot of times I see them at like Target and stuff in the camping section. It's a little blanket. It's super thin, shiny, metallic. It looks like aluminum foil almost. They work. And if somebody goes into shock, one of the best things you can do is wrap them up in one of those. Keep their body warm. Watch some videos on how to do CPR, what to do to manage shock, how to put pressure on some wounds. You can learn these skills fairly quickly. It's too late to try to take a course. And with the pandemic, I don't recommend a course anyway in person, but YouTube is a good resource. You can learn some of this stuff fairly quickly, at least get vaguely familiar with it so that if something does happen, you don't panic. You at least have an idea of what you should do. Apply pressure, wrap them up in one of those Mylar blankets. They take up no space. They're like this big, that thick, and come in a little plastic baggie. Throw a couple in your purse, your man bag, or your purse, whatever. So that's the first aid equipment I would recommend. Gauze. Gauze is fantastic. Gauze. An elastic bandage, like an ACE bandage, is great as well because that can be like a pressure dressing. You can use that for a spraying. You can use it as like a homemade pressure dressing. Put the gauze on there and then wrap it with an ACE bandage nice and tight. It has that stretchiness to it, so it'll apply extra pressure. So yeah, gauze, ACE bandage, Mylar blanket, a tourniquet if you have one. That might be it for like a quick emergency stuff. Just regular bandages, maybe some, I don't know. Yeah, that might be it. It's for like just like a quick, what is like some minimal stuff that you might be able to easily get or already have. Maybe some painkillers, but you got to be careful with that because some cause more bleeding. Because some can like thin the blood and stuff. Oh, aspirin's a great one to have for heart attacks. If you suspect a heart attack. Give someone some aspirin, you can buy some more time. Okay, so what else do you need? So that's if you're going out. I think the most important thing you can do right now is stay home. Stay home, stay home. Go out, get whatever supplies that you think you're going to need, have them by say 7 o'clock Friday. Anything you don't have, anything you haven't done, anybody you haven't seen by then, you're not going to. You need to be home Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I don't remember which day the inauguration actually is, but plan on staying home from Saturday until day after the inauguration. That's my plan. I know it's the 20th, but I'm just not sure. Is that Tuesday or Wednesday? I think it's one of those days. So yeah. And also there is talk of potential attacks on the power grid. Now, if you're already in the prepper community, or if you've been reading anything, or just aware of what's going on, our power grid, our communications grid, our infrastructure as a whole is very, very fragile. It's very old. It was not designed generally for this many people. It's kind of a mess, and it is a pretty easy target. There is talk that we should expect some power outages. Whether it actually happens or not, I don't know. The FBI is aware of these things, and they're trying to mitigate all this stuff, but it sounds like a lot happening at once. They might be overwhelmed. I don't know how successful they'll be. Hopefully they will be very successful, and they catch all these guys before they even do anything, and everything just goes over smoothly and we don't have any issues. I'm not going to plan on that happening, though. Plan on power outages. So what does that mean? Flashlights, lanterns, batteries, battery-powered radio, blankets. Figure out a way to keep yourself warm, to give yourself light, a way to cook, and a way to keep yourself entertained, especially if you have kids, or even just for yourself. You want to keep morale up. Nobody wants to sit around in the dark, scared, not knowing what's going on, and thinking that the country is under attack. That's not going to be a pleasant evening. So get yourself some flashlights. Get some plastic sheeting. Close off one room. Try to concentrate on keeping that room warm. Bring everybody's blankets and beds and mattresses or whatever. You sleep in that room. Keep everybody in there. More bodies in there. That's going to help keep it warmer. Even just lighting candles and stuff, it raises the temperature just a tiny bit, but we're not necessarily talking about being comfortable. We're talking about just not freezing to death, not dying of hypothermia, or even if you don't die, just suffering from hypothermia. You don't want that. If you have a fireplace, I find that my fireplace does a really good job of keeping this room warm. If I get plastic sheeting up, and I don't even have to close off the whole house, but I do close off much of it, and it will keep like t-shirts and shorts hot in here with the fireplace going. If you have a fireplace and you haven't really used it, test it out. Some